Okay, apparently I am actually live, and so I have two monitors set up, and so that way I can do the thing or whatever. If you've ever done live streaming, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, trying to find the watch link. Huh. Sorry, you're actually seeing me like experiment with a new feature, or well, not exactly new, the new setup uh, that they've got now. Here, her, my channel. Okay, trying to actually get the watch link so that way I know I can. Okay. All right. Now that we've got that figured out, and let me go and post this to. Do do do. Okay, now that I know what it is that I'm no, now that I know what I'm doing, I will be able to actually get this set up before I start streaming next time, or at least I think I will be able to. Who knows? It's like YouTube has actually changed the live streaming, uh, the way that it works. They've changed it like two or three times since I was really uploading regularly. So just bear with me for a moment. Uh, I thought that I was going to be able to get the link to do this before I started doing it and all. And so now I'm just doing a few things that I should have done beforehand, such as putting a couple of promotional messages up. But yeah, we will be discussing the current state of my Hulkbuster armor, uh, some. Okay. Well, anyway, so now that I've got the thing posted. Wanted to actually, a couple of things that I will be covering because I made some promises, so I kind of have to. Yeah, I guess you could call it contractual obligation, even though technically I won't actually have a contract with them. But there are certain things that I will be going over. After I've covered at least a good bit of it, and then I'll be able to go back to answering questions and so forth. If anybody has any, and so the thumbnail, this little device, this is actually the arc reactor that I'm going to be putting into the to the Hulk. are the Hulkbuster. I may end up actually making additional thing that this goes into as the core, so for a larger Hulkbuster, or I may end up just using this itself. I'm still early enough in the build process where I've got a lot of flexibility and options and all, but I do like this itself as a um, okay, yeah, I do like this itself as a arc reactor for a standard Iron Man size type armor. Uh, but yeah, one thing I will be getting into, at some point during this video, is a review of the e-cig. Now, normally I will not be doing e-cig reviews, or anything like that, uh, because this is a prop and costume channel, and uh, like I said, it's not. I'm not a vape channel or whatever else. But uh, I have a minor obligation mostly because I said I would do a review of this, and there actually is a reason why I'm even doing a review of that. Well, anyway, right now I am currently in the process of building a Hulkbuster armor for DragonCon this September. So, uh, also, sorry about the way that my eyes kind of look. I don't know if you noticed at all. I actually recently came down with pink eye, uh, which is why you should be very careful to make sure that you clean your desk if it's a multi-purpose space. Like, this is where I build my costumes and all, and it's where I do everything else. It's my prop building, my thing. There's actually a live stream that I do every Saturday. It was some friends of mine. That's more of a political thing, that I don't get into here. And it just so happened when I went to go and rub my eye at one point because it was itching, I didn't realize that there was a piece of hot glue. Uh, as you're working, you get the drips and drops and strands of it that end up everywhere. And I didn't realize that I had picked one up on my hand and put it in, and so I ended up with pink eye because of the irritation and all. So, but I've got eye drops to take care of that. Whew, that felt good. Anyway, but yeah, like I said, I actually have two monitors set up so that way I can switch between cameras for. Oh, okay, cool. I just actually how good that works that way. All right. Anyway, I'm doing the Hulkbuster. This is an opportunity to switch to this. This is the beginning of the left foot. Anybody who's actually followed my various posts know that I'd started the right foot. Uh, I may end up actually doing work on this during in the stream. This is actually part of. Okay, no, this is one part that goes more here of it. This is more like the arch, and this is what goes above the toes. So, uh, and this is the right. This is the right leg. Yeah, it is large. I actually there's still a piece I need to attach right here, which I've got off to the side. Uh, so I need to actually, yeah, I still need to attach this to it. I did manage to finally get a relatively straight seam to be able to do that. I prefer to build in sections, and because of that, I've been forced to learn a great deal about armor making that you normally don't think about beforehand. Uh, I mean, once you get past a certain scale on things, it really the game changes completely. Oh, when you are doing something like a chest plate or a full torso, an arm, whatever, for an Iron Man sized armor. Your basic Halo, your basic Iron Man, a Genos arm, that kind of size class. Uh, you end up with a lot of pretty much straight seams and everything. You can go and you can build it in sections. You can build from left to right and loop it around and close it up. There's a lot of structural uh, there's a lot of like structural factors that just kind of lend itself to my normal building style. With this, on the other hand, because of there's a few different factors that because of the way that the polys are, for those of you who aren't very familiar with it, polys are when you look at a 3D model. Eventually, I will actually learn to screen share with it, with things. Um, okay, I do not know what that is. Okay, and that is the share button. Um, oh my god. Okay, if anybody has connections to YouTube, please tell them like we need better tools on their onboard live streaming stuff. Uh, or at least the method that I'm using now. But anyway, so the like I said, with normal armor stuff, normal object sizes, the structures generally are pretty straightforward. This is actually a rather detailed model of the full Hulkbuster armor, and because of that, something kind of happens with polys and all. Oh, okay, yeah, because I'm actually live. So, today or tomorrow. All right, have fun. I got my alarm set, so all right. Anyway, yes, real life is a part of crafting and everything else. Anyway, here we have uh, the way that this is. Certain areas, like here, uh, here. When I was editing the unfold, I could have dealt with certain things a little bit better, um, but it just kind of uh, I really didn't take the model itself into account when I was doing the unfold. I was focused more on the pieces themselves, making sure that they fit onto the paper well, making sure that they didn't overlap themselves and everything. And so uh, there's a lot of things that you need to take into consideration when you are doing your unfolds. That is the first thing in any build, and your unfold can make or break your project. Uh, if your unfold is done, you know, if your unfold is not done badly, I should say, because I have seen some unfolds that are genius, and I've seen some unfolds that okay, I mean, I can build it, but then I have seen unfolds that are bad. Oh God, I have seen unfolds that just either way too many pieces, or they were done in such a way that had like this piece been separated on this particular edge, then instead of trying to like this and then get and then you have to like kind of tuck up underneath here to get in there. I've had some really complicated pieces that I didn't realize were gonna be that complicated until I printed it out. So I've actually learned to kind of recognize a lot of those. But there are some pieces that I've seen that if it had been separated on this particular edge, then I could have just simply taken this piece and fold, glued here. This piece here, fold, glue here, and then glue here. Perfect, great, simple. But by using the piece the way that it was printed out, it actually took me longer to get this one piece attached than it took me to do the two pieces that it should have been to begin with. You also have to take the structure of your model into account. This has a lot of places that overhang, undercut. Yeah, like this. This here. This will be a jet shroud, and here's the thruster. Let's see, the ankle here. Uh, yeah. Right. Dang. Okay. The way that model is structured, like I pointed out to be, and all of these undercuts and everything else, really make my particular build method very difficult. Because I had done it to where, okay, everything at the back of the calf and the jet shroud, everything there, and in that whole area, I had managed to put into one section. And then you have the back of the calf from under the shroud down and to the sides. And then you had the front, for the most part was a single piece. I tend to try to build, if I'm doing an armor that's going to be sectional, or would be sectional in real life anyway, I try to build it in those sections because it just works better. I normally end up with very few I end up with a few large, straight seams to join afterwards. Well, unfortunately, because of the undercut from the thruster shroud, it was kind of hard with how I had built it as well. Not Your build method is not only the do you do piece by piece by piece by piece, or do you do section by section. It is also the order that you put things together in. I had already put like enough of the sides and front in that when it got to the point of attaching everything to where the jet shroud was, it was really hard for me to get in there because I had put too much above it and to the sides for me to be able to really get it. For me, I had to sit there and kind of, thing and kind of, lift up a piece here, push the glue gun in, like it's really not. I mean, it's how you do your assembly really affects the difficulty of your process. So this is actually the first really large build that I've ever done. And through that, I've learned a few very important and helpful things. For example, like this foot. Um, One of the things I learned was it is better to build large things like this in a spiral. Start off with the bottom, and then you pick any point. I arbitrarily pick front and right of center. That's just how I do it when I think. And you build around. And you build around. Like I said, I start off with front and right of center. This piece actually takes the entire center, so either way it doesn't matter. The piece is front and facing right of center, and build around. So that first layer that you see here, some of the pieces went into the second layer. Doesn't matter. What you want to worry about is this seam. And then once you have that built, Then you pick the next seam up and you follow that all the way around. And that really helps assist in your build process greatly because when you build by sections for a chest plate, it's really easy because it's an open bolt. You can flip it around, you can get in there. It's really easy to do whatever. You have the enclosed builds on the other hand. Then you have to be able to give yourself room to work and everything. You have to be able to kind of get in so that way once you put the hot glue on to have in place and then press it down so that way the hot glue spreads. So, so building in the spiral works for the most part. On this, I've been able to, I can see where I'll be able to build it in the spiral for the most part, but there are some places on this that I'm going to have to build in sections because the structure of it, by doing that, the first couple of layers end up coming up into the second or third layer above it. And so I'm having to go and build an entire section so that way I have one single seam along. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking that and I'm going to be filling in the sections that I've got built already, so that way I can once again back to a delineated layer of pieces and go from there. Um, so like I said, the first thing you need to work on for your build is you have to get your unfold correct. That will allow you to plan your build process from that point on. It really speeds it up. The next thing you have to figure out is once you've built the shell, how are you going to harden it? With this particular model, uh, unfortunately, this was not done as an armor. This was done as a statue, and it's actually presented me with some interesting issues because I mean normally you could sit there if you were doing an armor you could build the boot, then you could build the shin, then you could build the knee, and then you could build the thigh. I, on the other hand, because of this being a single piece, the entire thing is a T-posed Hulkbuster statue. Uh, so, because of that, I have to take this leg, and I can't just build up to the ankle and then set it aside and then start to build the shit. Excuse me, because several of the pieces from the ankle go, like one of them actually went halfway up the shin piece. So which meant that I had to build the entire thing up to the knee before I could decide to cut, the ankle. Which, then after I build that, I could have built from after I build that, cut the ankle. And then once I get up to the thigh, cut off at the knee, and then from the thigh, build up through the waist and cut off at the groin to give me the two thighs and the cod piece. Well, I don't have much in the way of room to store this for now, so the most convenient way for me to store it is in a single piece for now. But that does make my job a little bit easier because once I have both legs completed, I'll be able to take the cut at the ankle. I'll be able to cut at the knee. I'll be able to cut at the groin and be able to plan a symmetrical thing rather than cutting at the ankle and then hoping I can figure out the reverse easier. Being able to have them both in front of me, I'll be able to actually look at the lines and actually see, yes, they are both the same, they are both good, and go from there. Um, so yeah, if you're gonna go and you're going to build an armor, and the only file you can get is a a single piece statue, you can still build the armor, no problem. But you have to plan out your build process. These are a lot of things that these are a lot of things that a lot of people, they don't think they have to discuss because they think that it's such an obvious concept that you know uh, it doesn't need to be said. Well, the fact is it needs to be said. Huh. It does need to be said because of the fact that it's something that a lot of novice builders. I mean, this is something that I'm good at. I've been able to help people in some really complicated situations, but it's something even I hadn't even thought about and really didn't know well. So these are things that uh, as I get more stuff done and everything, and I can really kind of get a better workspace, I'll be able to get more in depth on things. I guess mostly right now, because I'm doing this as a live stream, I'm seeing if anybody actually, joins in for the chat. One place that if you're going to get into doing Pepakura, besides the whole thing with needing Pepakura designer, which you get the files, there are a lot of places that you can find files and everything else. I personally I personally use the Pepakura Library. It's a Facebook group that it's actually, as far as I know, I'm because I don't quote me too closely on this. As far as I know, it is one of, if not the longest running group on Facebook regarding Pepakura, which is I had a friend of mine that it took me 2 years to finally explain, finally get him to understand. Pepakura is not an actual Japanese word. It is it's actually a bastardization of Peppa, which is I think the Japanese word for paper, or it's the Japanglish word for paper. But Kura or Kura is the Japanese word for craft, if I remember correctly. And he was trying to say, well, why, how's it Pepakura if it's foam? And I was like, it's called Pepakura because that just. Basically, I said the reason why foam builds are called Pepakura is not because they use paper, it's because the program is Pepakura Designer. And so that's why it's called Pepakura. It's just, that's what people call it. Oh, excuse me. So anyway. Yeah. Yeah. So okay, I wish I had my notes. I had something, and I can't find my notes. So we're just gonna. This is going to be me hanging out, and if anybody happens to join in on the chat stream to ask questions and everything else, all right, cool. If not, then I'll just talk about the various things that I've got to do. Uh, one of the one of the really good things about prop and costume building is your materials. And my favorite material to work with is obtainium. Uh, there's also a subcategory of obtainium called findanite. This is a obtainium core arc reactor. Uh, I was on YouTube at one point, and I happened to see a review video of a product that I liked the look of. I didn't have much use for it, but I liked the look of it, and so I was like, hey, I could use that to do this. Obtainium is anything that you happen to find that, or anything you happen to get a hold of that you can use to build what you want to build. Um, and this is does not mean like PVC pipe, and, well, things like that you use to build, to build a sci-fi prop gun. No, PVC pipe is material. Straight up, pure and simple. It is material. You are not taking a pre-made item object and modifying it. That's what obtainium and findinite is. It's more of an in joke. It's just kind of a term that you'll hear crafters use. But this is uh, what what happens when you are able to get a hold of this. I love this box, by the way. This is actually going to end up being a display case for this. Oh, but yeah, I'm going to put that in there, and it's going to be rigged so that once it's in the display case and then on its stand, this will light up. I may end up even having LEDs in the top and bottom, perhaps even the sides, if I can figure out how to get them installed. But yeah, it'll be like that. So that way, kind of the proof Tony Stark has a heart display for the arc reactor that I'm doing. And yes, other people will sit there and said, "Oh, well, it looks like a morpher too." I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this yet. I do. I like it. It is a good. It is actually a pretty good e-cig. Uh, but I haven't decided whether I'm actually going to use it as one or if I'm going to open it up, tear it apart, do whatever with it. Because I could do. I could do I could do a lot. So, but yeah, this is the exo armor from a company called Zomo, and I saw a review video of it at one point. And the first time I ever saw it was like that. Like, had the first time I ever saw it been like that, I don't know whether or not I would have gotten the ideas that I did. But probably the first time I ever saw, the first time that if I had ever seen it like this in the video, I probably would have still gotten the same ideas. But seeing it sideways the first time is really what kind of set off me thinking of the things I did about it. Um, but yeah, like I said, normally I don't do e-cig reviews, but this is the one that I promised that I would do. So, but yeah, this is the Zomo Exo Armor, e-cig. It's supposed to retail for about $300. I don't know if they've changed the price at all or not. And it's actually pretty decent e-cig. It had, like the entire shell is this same kind of like clear or semi-clear smoke plastic, but it comes with these armor plates that you put on, and so the back, will look like that, and the front, well, that there, but basically, yeah. Imagine if that was the, that window there. But yeah, with these armor plates on, you do not see certain detailing, like that ring that's supposed to be in there. You don't really see the LEDs well, so I'm not quite sure why they went with the armor plate idea for the front. I do, however, love it for the back, because I do like that nice, clean look and everything. If I were to be carrying this around as my e-cig, I mean, I like the whole Batman armor, and uh, yeah, I do kind of like the look of it. In terms of performance and everything else, I mean, it gets the job done. It's supposed to be able to plug into your computer and you're supposed to be able to put your own custom wallpapers in it. You're supposed to be able to like. There's this like really customizable voltage and wattage profile thing that you can do for like the ultimate hit, and it's just I don't know whether or not it was just mine doesn't work or whether or not it was a feature they never were able to implement correctly, but I couldn't get it to. I couldn't get the thing because I actually wanted to put the arc reactor as my wallpaper for this. Um, but yeah, if you ever happen to see one of these, it is not worth the $300. It is a good, solid e-cig. I would say $100 to $150 class, but yeah, 300. Yeah, it's not worth it. Um, and but the box that it comes in is really cool. It's got these spring-loaded flaps that you go and you open it up, and it's just like it's really cool. I mean, it's like the entire packaging and everything really gives a sense of you know the kind of just overall experience of this thing. Um, but I plan to use this to make the display case, as I said, and there's plenty of room in here. This tray is a really great resting thing for it. Uh, there's only one issue though, is that you think, okay, I mean, it looks like it pretty much flush, but unfortunately, this piece is just slightly too high. And so I can push that down and push these in, but it doesn't want to lock. And so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to modify it slightly. Perhaps putting some supports in there and shaving down the sides of the support tray just enough so I can kind of take it in there a little bit more. Um, Mostly because the idea of being able to close it up when I'm transporting it just really appeals to me, and it's got these buttons. So if I can go and get it to do that, and I can hit it where once hit the button, and then it starts a light cycle and everything else in there. Huh. Okay. Well, anyway, so. Okay, I'm trying to remember where it goes. And okay, here's the pattern. Okay, and that is the next section. Okay, so that goes there, and I know where all of that goes. Oh, okay. So that's the. Huh. Ah, so there's that, and now I know what I'm doing. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Oh, by the way, yeah, you can't hear the music that I got playing because I finally got the sound settings figured out. Where the I had a problem at one point with a copyright strike because my music player was bleeding into the microphone, and so YouTube actually flagged one of my videos because I happen to have Weird Al Yankovic playing, and uh, yeah, I ended up actually just deleting the audio from that section anyway. But yeah, now I actually have it where you my music player doesn't actually get picked up by the microphone. It's able to filter out anything, well, any of the sounds from the computer. Let me. Yeah, all right. Okay, apparently, that doesn't. Yeah, eventually I will actually have my camera settings and everything done correctly. Oh man, do not tell me that there's a piece that I am not. Oh, okay, good. Okay, yeah, this is a perfect example of piece that I was talking about. That how you build makes things easier without the other pieces attached to it. That would have been so much easier to maneuver into position. Okay, now we are in a much easier position to deal with. Okay.